Some things are meant to be. In the end, the call. In the end, the call. Stick with
Hey everyone, how are you? I hope you're having a great day. I am so excited for this this special edition live cast. We are focused on the brand new, hot off the press media sales report for 2021. It is live as of today. I think earlier today we sent out a big email and we started hitting all the social media. I think just in the first 10 or 15 minutes of it being released, it had well over 100 downloads. If you want to follow along, because today we're gonna break this down, we're gonna start to go through it together. If you want to follow along, you can go and download it right now at css.buzz/media sales report, and it's all in lowercase intentionally. So as you go to do that, you'll want to make sure that you're in lowercase when you do that. So you can go ahead and download that, and you can follow along. Just let me give you a little information about this, and I have my notes here, so I want to make sure I say all this correctly. The media sales report, we did this we've done this before. We thought that this was a good time to do it because it's been about a year and a half since the pandemic started, and we did a media sales report last year during the heart of the pandemic because we wanted to get a really good sense of how people were feeling and what they were thinking, both sales leaders and sales managers in the media business. This year, this report, we did the survey in October. So October of 2021 is when we sent out the surveys. We had a fantastic response. Over 250 sales leaders and sales people responded. Here's a little information about who the respondents were. When it came to sales leaders, the type of people that responded to this had titles like VP of sales and directors of sales, general sales managers, local sales managers. When it came to salespeople that responded, overwhelmingly, the title that people used was account executive or salesperson is how they identified themselves. All market sizes were included. We had, large, medium, small, major, all markets were included, and it was well balanced. One thing that was interesting is that the greatest majority of people, the more than 50% of the people that filled out the survey were media veterans. They had over 11 years experience either selling or managing. So the people that tended to respond to this were more veteran than anything else. And this included people that sell and manage in radio, TV, digital, newspaper, and cable. That was kind of the gamut that we ran for that. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the media sales report. We've broken this down into several sections. I do want to give you a quick overview before I invite in our guests. So the way we're going to do today's episode is we're going to bring in 3 different guests, Stephanie Downs, Trey Morris, and Beth Sunshine, all from the Center for Sales Strategy and some of our other divisions. And before we bring them in, I do want to point out, we do have this page in here. It's the key findings. It's an executive summary. So some of the big picture key findings. One, sales managers are experiencing recruitment woes. 53% of sales managers admit recruitment is the hardest part of their jobs. And I was just talking this morning, or actually exchanging emails with a general manager who was sharing with me that they're at about 60%, 65% of where they should be with number of salespeople. So if they're supposed to have 10, they have 6. So there's really, and how hard it was, and we were going back and forth. That's a real issue. We'll tackle some of these things. The second thing is learning and development is key to retaining superstars. I had a CEO of a media company say to me recently, Matt, everyone's talking about how recruitment is so difficult, but if we retained more of our people, we wouldn't have such a need for recruitment right now. Learning and development is key to retaining sales superstars. 91% of salespeople say they want to be learning and developing in their roles. Think about that. 91%, 9 out of 10 are saying they want to be learning and developing in their roles. The third one is it's hard to get appointments. 82% of sales managers say that appointments are harder to secure today than they were 5 years ago. Number 4, sales enablement is improving, but it's not where it should be. Only 77% of sales managers feel they have access to the resources they need to exceed their goals. I mean, that should be 100%. Everyone should feel that way. Right now, it's 77%. And then number 5, company culture is a key driver of organizational success. More than 4 out of 5 sales managers are optimistic about the future. And we're going to dig into that. But the headline sounds awesome, right? More than 4 out of 5 are optimistic about their future. But we're going to dig into that a little bit more. So with that, I want to bring on our very first guest. Let me see if I can make this work. Stephanie, how about that? It worked.
It's amazing how that works.
This technology works on the snap. You snap and people appear. If I could, I would do my nose like Bewitched. Stephanie Downs, I've known you like 14, 15
I
years.
have a special
I
talent.
didn't know you could do that. I love it. All right. So Stephanie Downs, who is a partner and a senior VP consultant here at the Center for Sales Strategy, is our very first guest. And Shay, if you'll put up her LinkedIn profile or her LinkedIn contact information, if anyone wants to get a hold of Stephanie, please feel free to reach out to her. If you have any questions about the things that we're going over here today, feel free to reach out and connect with her. She'll be happy to go back and forth with you on some of this stuff. All right. So the topic is department structure and learning and development. And if someone does have this downloaded, just so you know, we're going to be really focusing with Stephanie on pages 5 and 6 in the media sales report. So if someone wants to go back and later on watch this again, that's where we are. So let me ask you a couple of questions and get your take on this. There's a lot of good information packed in this media sales report, but what are the 2 or 3 hardest things for sales managers today?
Yep.
What are you hearing? What are they saying?
Yeah. And I mean, you were saying some of this in the setup when you were reading over the executive summary, but by far the number one thing is recruitment. I mean, we heard it obviously in the media sales report, but I hear that in almost every conversation I have with sales leaders. I don't know that I have a call that does not come up as part of the topic. So it goes way beyond just what we got from a response in the survey. But I mean, 53% of those that completed this for us said that it's recruitment. But I want to take that one step further. I think it's recruitment for 2 different reasons. One, they just have open positions, right? I mean, they just have open positions.
Yeah.
But I think the second piece of that is the number 2 thing on the list, which was new business development. I mean, 8% of sales managers said that's the hardest thing today is new business development. And I think that's leading to some of their thinking of needing to potentially add people to their team, not just replace open positions, but to expand their sales team, maybe the number of people that they have out selling. And I think I'm looking 57% said that they need more people on their team.
Yeah,
conversation.
Yeah, and so I want to ask you about what's the hardest thing for salespeople, but pause for 1 second. It is interesting, and I think we're starting to see that this mentality change. But it used to be that a new salesperson would be expected to bring in new business. And then after that person did well, when there was attrition, that person was rewarded with accounts.
Right.
So what you ended up having is someone that is maybe 6, 7 years in the business. They're so busy working on the accounts that they now
Yeah.
handle or on their list.
Yes. Right.
But they're not doing new business. The hardest part of the job is left to people with the least amount of experience.
Yeah, for sure. I do think some of that is shifting because I think,
yeah,
it's not shifted enough. Not enough yet, because there's still some of the old school structure of a salesperson does everything, right? For those that have started having more of the intentional structure conversations of redesigning the sales team and what some people are responsible for, I do think that's starting to shift, but more of that's still needed, because I mean, new business development still, it's a challenge for all. I mean, we're hearing that.
Yeah.
Especially getting appointments, right?
Right. Yeah. So if what are the 2 or 3 hardest things for sales managers today are recruitment and new business development?
Mm-hmm.
What are 2 or 3 of the hardest things for salespeople these days?
Yeah. The things that I hear, most commonly is new business development, but beyond that, it's more specific parts of the sales process that are difficult today. I'm still hearing a lot of, getting that initial appointment is difficult. Getting decision makers is difficult. If they can't get face to face with somebody, it's struggling to make that connection. I mean, those are still that. I don't know that that's really different than what we've known or what we've heard, but that still seems to be one of the biggest struggles for salespeople.
Yeah, I always caution people. I've heard you say this too. It's not like it used to be really easy.
That's right. No.
It's not like, oh, it used to be so easy. You just called people up and they said, how can we meet today?
Smile and dial and get an appointment. No.
Right. But it is extremely difficult right now.
Right. I do want to add, it's a little different than what you asked, but I do want to add one note related to salespeople. And this is not something different than really what we heard in the last media sales report. But salespeople, just thinking about structure and the operation, they're still saying that, or saying more than they've ever said, that they want a combination of salary plus commission. That is a bigger need. And I think the 60% actually said that. And so if sales leaders listening today, if you're not having a compensation conversation, I highly encourage you to make that part of your annual planning going into next year and thinking about that, because that is also back to recruiting being a really difficult thing. If you can say that your comp plan aligns with what the need is of salespeople or the want of salespeople today, that would give you a leg up from a recruiting standpoint.
Yeah, that's a great point. The data that we have, this survey and last year. Right. Salespeople are not saying that they don't want any commission. Not at all. That is not what they're saying.
That's exactly right.
They want a hybrid solution of that. They want some sort of a base, and then they want the opportunity to earn what they sell.
Yeah.
And I will say this: what we're really hearing is veteran salespeople have always had a base and the opportunity to sell. They have a list. Right? Yeah. They have a list. I mean, you don't want to call it a salary, but we all know that that list is going to generate X amount of dollars. That's going to spin off you can count on it number. But when you're recruiting new people, they're not coming for nothing. I mean,
no. And then especially depending, and this is a whole different conversation, but 4 months guarantee is not salary plus commission.
Right. That's not salary.
And for new people, that's difficult. Yeah.
That's exactly. All right. So one of the other things at the survey, and I want your input on this, one of the other things that we learned in the survey was about learning and development. So I teased that up. Break that down. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you referenced that 91%, that took the survey said they wanted more learning and development opportunities. What I really think was interesting, and I had not thought of this until you were doing the setup, that you said a significant part of the sellers that completed the survey were 11 plus
Yes.
years.
Yes.
That really resonated with me when you said that, because it's not just newbies or people new to the organization or younger, maybe an experience saying that. It's veterans also saying it. I think that's a really important, to add a little fine point on that. But it's a big part of retention. People that feel like they're being invested in, that they're giving those opportunities, they're more likely to stay in our organizations. So, I mean, the why that we should do this is about, obviously because it's about the individual, but it's about retention. People just want to feel like they're growing and developing. One thing that I would add to that is I would also think about, let me look at the number here. 67% of managers said that they're doing some sort of weekly sales training. And that's great. That's a positive, right? Keep doing that. But go above and beyond that, because we all know that weekly sales training sometimes can be a little bit of more of a checklist of what has to get done in a sales organization. I would drill down as a sales leader and really think about what is important to each individual on the team. Ask the questions of what do they want? What do they want to grow? Is it something related to, the sales process, or do they want to grow into a management position? I mean, whatever that is, but try to uncover that on an individualized basis, and don't just assume it's a one size fits all.
Yeah, I know of two people that I've spoken to in the last 24 hours that have recently left their job
Mm-hmm.
to take a new job. And the reason why they did it is because they wanted to grow. They wanted a new challenge. They wanted something new and exciting, that they didn't feel like where they were being pushed or being challenged to do more. They were just being told, go and do what you've always done.
Right.
And that just didn't speak to that. They
needed more. Yeah.
So think about ways you can do that for sure.
That's right. Yeah. Think about ways to do that, and think about it from an individualized standpoint.
Stephanie, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
See you later. If you want to get a hold of Stephanie, you can grab her on LinkedIn.
Yes.
She's happy to respond to anything.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Steph.
Bye.
All right. So with that, I'm going to bring on my next guest, Trey. It worked.
How did I get here?
Did
you just teleport me?
So this company that we're using to do the streaming, it used to be that you had to use the mouse to bring people in and out. You had to click.
No, it's just...
But now the audio with the microphone, it hears this. I'm not going to snap because, but if I did, you come in and out. It's
please don't. It was very jarring.
That's right. All right. So Trey, thank you so much. Trey Morris, who is also a VP senior consultant here at the Center for Sales Strategy, and was actually very involved in helping to build and create the survey and make sure that we got it out there. It's part of the media sales report that I want to focus on with you. And I'm turning my pages in here in case you're playing along at home. We're going to be on pages 7 through 10. So I turn to page 7 through 10. Okay. All right. So that's nice. That's good. That's good, right?
Yeah.
So, and Trey, if you want to get a hold of Trey, his LinkedIn, again, just like Stephanie, all of us that are on today, if you want to get a hold of any of us, we're happy to talk about this stuff. And I know even in the last 10 or 20 minutes while we've been, I think another 100 people have downloaded the media sales report. So a lot of people are downloading this right now. And please go and do that. Trey, I want to talk to you about setting appointments, sales process, sales enablement. That's really the big picture of what the part of the survey. So we asked managers, how many appointments should your salespeople go on each week? What did they say, and what do you take from that?
So, managers, we like to have this maybe it's not quite accurate of what we expect salespeople to do. We tend to forget what it was like when we were selling. But
Yeah.
most salespeople said, our sales manager said, they expect salespeople to go on 4 business appointments a week. Now, one of the things that we didn't ask is that a new appointment, or
Yeah.
is that just a presentation? Is it a needs analysis? Is it servicing call? Which they're all important. You all have got to do, but honestly, as new business is kind of the lifeblood of what we are currently doing and what we need, you'd like to see more of those be new business. The funny thing is that, the expectation of what salespeople want, sales managers want to have their salespeople doing, and what they actually believe is happening doesn't exactly kind of hit the head.
All right.
Right.
So sales managers are saying 4 to 5 appointments per week.
Yes,
And
that's what they want them.
right. And I get that. Right. I mean, they're
Sure.
saying that's like 1 a day. I mean, you should be
That's
going
not
on
crazy.
why not? It's like, that's a hard one to argue back with. Like, your job is to make sure you go on 1 appointment per day. I mean, I think even salespeople at face value would say, sure, I mean, I should be able to do 1 a day.
Yep.
All right. But
Yep.
when we asked the follow-up on getting new business, when we asked salespeople how about this, what did they have to say?
So they said it was between 2 and 5.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, it's probably closer to 2 than it is to 5, because as you know, one of the things that we often do for clients is the sales diagnostic, where we really go into an organization, lift up the hood, and check everything that's going on. And one of the things that we've discovered, no matter what size market, no matter what part of the country, no matter if it's a high performing station or a low performing station, most salespeople on average go on 1 new business call a week.
Yeah.
Which means they're probably going on a couple of other appointments. And so it's definitely on the lower end of that scale.
Yeah. If I would even say if that, because if they did that, that'd be 52 new business calls a week. And if they went on 52 new business a year, you're right.
Yeah.
A year.
Yeah.
If they went on 52 a year, then they would probably close 20 of them.
Yeah. 15 to 20 for sure.
15 of them, because right. So, and I don't think it's that, and you know me, I've heard me say this a million times. I don't think it's because salespeople are not working hard, because I think salespeople work extremely hard. The survey, we dug a little into the survey, and I'd love for you to comment on this. Getting these new business meetings is not easy. What did we learn in the survey from this?
Well, what we learned is that a lot of salespeople have actually been listening to us when we have taught them the don't give up strategy of getting new appointments. And that strategy is that you need to have 7 to 9 engagement touches, reaching out to them over a certain period of time. And salespeople in this report said it takes between 2 and 9 attempts to get an appointment.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm sure there are people that are getting some 2s if they're doing a really strong job with, good research, good insights, a strong, valid business reason. But let's be honest, when I talk to salespeople and you talk to salespeople, most of them are telling me that it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attempts before they get someone to respond.
Yeah, it's that. I mean, it's you have to be really good at persistence and professionalism.
Yep.
Right. Because if all you are is persistent, well, then you're a little bit of a pain. You're a nuisance. And if all you are is professional, you might never get noticed. So you have to be both.
Yeah. And I mean, data we see shows that most salespeople quit after 3 or 4 attempts.
Right. And I get it. I get why.
I totally get it. Yeah.
But
if it takes 7,
you want to win, right? I mean, this is what it takes to win. You have to do it. So let's talk a little bit about what salespeople are using in terms of technology and media to get those appointments. What are they using? And Trey, what are they not using?
Yeah, so this isn't going to be shocking, at least not the primary ways that they're reaching out to prospects. Email is number one. 65% of the time, people are saying that that's their number one way of connecting with a prospect. Number two, at 60% of the time, is the good old phone call, which surprisingly to me, it was as high as that, because as someone who was on the other end of the desk, on the other side of the desk when it came to being called on, I didn't get a lot of phone calls. Got millions of emails. Didn't get a ton of phone calls. So those are obviously 1 and 2. What's really growing is that what you're seeing is that social media is really rising in the level of use for salespeople to interact and connect with prospects. LinkedIn is the number one social media, which makes complete sense. 49% of the people say they use it sometimes regularly, right? Which is pretty good. But then interesting, other social media, 46% of the people said they sometimes use other social media. So that means they might be reaching out via Twitter. Maybe they're going on Facebook Messenger and messaging businesses. You know, I guess maybe some people are using TikTok. I don't know. I you know, when I'm an old, I don't get it. But, you know, maybe they're using TikTok. Maybe they're using Snapchat, right? I don't know.
Using MySpace.
They're using MySpace. I don't think that's still in existence.
No.
And then what you see after that is you see texts at 44%. And then the one that people are not using, 92% of the people said they don't use this. And yet I have found that it's probably the most effective way to get an appointment. And that is using a personalized video message that you email someone.
Yeah,
only 8% said that they use it at all.
I know.
And 0% say they use it a majority of the time. And
I know.
all that is it's a video voicemail message. And people like to see each other. We immediately find connections with each other. If you are even halfway decent at speaking, which if you're a salesperson, good Lord, I hope you are, right? That you should be somewhat entertaining or interesting or likable. If you're not, maybe this is not the right place for you, but in general, this is something people should be good at and they should be comfortable with. But for some reason, being on a camera, even 18 months into this crazy COVID pandemic, where most of what we do is this way, people still get nervous turning on a camera and recording a message. But they shouldn't, and they should use it because it is the best and most effective way.
Yeah, and maybe it's not your first outreach, maybe it's not your initial, but maybe on your third or fourth after you've emailed and you've connected on LinkedIn and you've sent us a case study or you've left a voicemail or you've dropped off your business card or something at their location. Using video. I think, to me, looking at the data, I was like, wow, if only 8% are using it, if you're one of those 8%, you got a big advantage.
You're a trailblazer.
That's right.
Like, people are going to be blown away. Wow, they're using video. How cool. Yeah. They're going to respond just because they think it's cool because so few people are doing it.
Trey, thank you so much for joining the show.
Absolutely. It was fun.
I don't snap to see you leave. I just say goodbye.
Okay.
You want to connect with Trey, there's his LinkedIn connection. And thank you so much. See you later, Trey. All right. My next guest with the snap is Beth. Just like that. She's there. All right. So let's jump into page 11, which is our industry outlook on culture. And Beth is also a partner and a VP is the VP over the talent services at the Center for Sales Strategy and an engagement specialist at Up Your Culture, the division of our company that really focuses on employee engagement and driving fantastic internal culture. So, Beth, I have a few questions for you. You ready?
Ready.
All right. And of course, Beth's LinkedIn information is up on the screen. We asked salespeople if they would recommend their company as a great place to work. And only 27% of them said no, right? So that at first you'd say, wow, the vast majority said yes. But wait a second, 27% of them said no. More than 1 out of 4 said no. What? So I ask you, you're the specialist here. What overall impact does that have on a company when 27% of the people say this is not a great place?
Yeah, it has a big impact. That is tied directly to employee engagement. When an employee is engaged at work, they speak really highly of their company. And when they're asked a question like that, they say they'd recommend their company as a great place to work. As a matter of fact, we've done research over the last 6, this might be year 7. We call it the Superstar Sales Study. And we look at where sales organizations find their very best salespeople. And what we have found year after year after year is employee referrals is actually the #1 source of top talent. So interesting. On the flip side of that, when an employee is disengaged at work, they don't recommend their company to other talented people, or even worse, they often share negative information about the company. They damage the employee brand in the marketplace. So you asked, what does it mean when 27% of the sellers surveyed would not recommend their company as a great place to work? I mean, it means those people are probably disengaged in their jobs. It means that because they're disengaged, they're probably not bringing their full talent to their jobs. They're not fully reaching their potential. Their productivity overall is probably not what it could be. Their clients probably aren't seeing the results that they could see. They're probably dragging their company down, and they're likely negatively impacting the coworkers that are around them. So it has a big impact.
Yeah, and while we just surveyed salespeople for this,
Right.
this isn't something that's exclusive to the sales department, right?
No, not at all. And as a matter of fact, these numbers are really in line with your standard, what we see through the Gallup State of the Workplace results every year. You have your actively engaged and you're actively disengaged. And then the group in between is called disengaged. If you're not engaged, you are disengaged. And the question is, are you just disengaged, or are you actively disengaged, which is working against the company?
Got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So I noticed one of the things I noticed in the report is that sales managers seem to be more optimistic about the future of their industry. I mentioned that in the opening than the salespeople are. So why is that?
Yeah, I saw that too. And I spent a little time thinking about that. It said, the research showed that 4 out of 5 sales managers said that they were optimistic about the future, but only 2 out of 4 sales people said the same thing. I actually, after thinking about that for a bit, I don't think that sales managers these days are more optimistic about the future than their salespeople are. I think the research is accurate, but I think that gap in numbers is related to a lack of communication, a lack of transparent information about where they're headed. At Up Your Culture, we have found that the more information managers share, the more confident their people feel about the future. Even if some of that information isn't totally positive, it still makes people feel better, more optimistic, knowing that information. And when you study the most highly engaged companies and you identify what they have in common, what separates those from other companies that aren't as engaged, there are 4 areas of engagement that really stand out, 4 things that separate the best from the rest. We call those the engagement elevators.
Yep.
And one of those engagement elevators is earn trust, which is exactly what this item is getting to. This elevator of earn trust, it promotes transparency, which gives people confidence in company decisions and faith in the integrity of their leaders. And when the elevator is working properly, when it's going up, employees are much more optimistic about the future of their industry and also the future of their company and their own personal future as part of that journey.
Yeah, to me, so what I hear you saying is that our study shows that basically 4 out of 5 sales leaders feel optimistic about the future. We're only 2 out of 4, half of salespeople. But you're saying if there was more transparency, if salespeople knew what was going on, like what the sales managers know, salespeople would be equally optimistic about the future.
I agree. I don't think they're playing with the same set of information.
Makes sense.
So I think the lack of optimism in salespeople simply comes from a lack of information and transparency.
Sure, when you don't know what's going on, you don't feel like you have all the information. You feel like, boy, they know more than what I do. You start feeling like, well, maybe they're hiding something. Maybe this isn't such a great place. Maybe, and if they would just open up and be more transparent. All right, last question for you. If a company leader, and a lot of company leaders will watch this either right now or they'll watch it later. If a company leader wanted to improve their company culture and increase their employee engagement in 2022, because I would imagine people are going to read this, they're going to hear what you said, they're going to go, yeah, we need to do this. How do they do that? What do they do?
Yeah, I think that if you had to find a bright side to the pandemic we've been experiencing, it has been an increased focus on culture. I think companies have really woken up to the fact that, culture is really important. It's what keeps your people glued together, whether you're in a physical building together or whether you're scattered out among workplace offices. That culture is really that glue. And so I think a lot of people are thinking this now more than ever. I just mentioned the 4 engagement elevators. I think that's probably where I would start if a leader is interested in improving company culture and in turn increasing engagement, which, by the way, just to kind of clarify that, culture and engagement are tied together in the sense that if you improve culture, you increase employee engagement. So the more you up your culture, the more your engagement rises. And when your culture kind of falls by the wayside because you're focused on other things, engagement
That makes sense.
fall by the wayside too. So the best way to up your culture is to use those 4 engagement elevators: shared mission, people development, valued voice, and earned trust. We talked a little bit about earned trust today. We have a great ebook that will give people the details they need and some strategies they can use if they want to start thinking about 2022 and how they can up their culture and increase engagement. And there's also a self-inventory. So anyone can go through those questions related to the 4 engagement elevators. They can total up their scores and get a good sense of how they're doing in each area. And that will give them a plan to specifically focus on the things that matter in the next year.
Lots of really good free resources, all available at upyourculture.com, which is up on the screen right now. So the 2 things that you pointed people to were the ebook on the 4 engagement elevators, as well as the self-inventory checklist. That would be a good place for people to start. I also know there happens to be an ebook up there on core values, which is one of my favorite ebooks that we've ever written. So I think if you haven't downloaded that, you certainly should. Beth, thank you so much for stopping by. We really appreciate it. Again, if you want to connect with Beth, her LinkedIn information is up on the screen now, and I'll say goodbye. Bye, Beth. So, see, the snap doesn't work for the other people. The snap only works when I do it. All right, couple of quick things to bring you up, and then we're going to end the show. Is number 1, very special announcement, but our producer of this show, and many of you know her, Shay Smith, today is her birthday. So if you're watching, if you could send her a note to say happy birthday, whether it's on LinkedIn or in the comments. And now she's probably mad at me for doing that, but too bad. I have the microphone and the camera. So happy birthday, Shay. I hope you have a fantastic day. Next week on this live cast, I'm going to be joined by John Henley and Jim Hopes, both managing partners at the Center for Sales Strategy. We're at the Center for Sales Strategy. We're going to discuss the 2021 media sales report. We're going to get their take on some of the key findings that they're interested in talking about. If you want to if you like this, if you like our live cast, if you enjoy what you're seeing here, please go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, and share. The more you can share, the more people will see it, and that really helps us out. So thank you for doing that. And then last, if you want to download the media sales report, Shay will put the link up there. It's css.buzz/media sales report, and that is all in lowercase. Have a great day. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it has been beneficial. If you need any you want to talk about any of this with any of the people that were on today or any of the CSS consultants, we're here and we'd love to have a conversation with you about it. Have a great day, everyone.